of micropropagations. You are very much familiar here that in micropropagation that it is the easiest method. Micropropagation, we can consider that it is an easiest method for producing new plants, because we know that we are just using only a part of or a tissue from a plant, and that we are growing it in a nutrient rich medium, and on the nutrient rich medium we are just providing the dividing hormones, or that hormone that promotes cell division, like auxin and cytokinin. So we are just giving these hormones to the plants, and then this is to start dividing and form a big mass of cell that is called callus. And then we are just copying the callus, and then when we grow, or when we buried callus under the soil, then it is capable of producing new plants, a baby plant. Okay, so we can say that from a same plant, or from a single plant, we can grow thousands of plants, okay, with same characteristics. So it is an easiest method, means fastest method, that for example, if we need to grow thousands of plants of same characteristics, then we cannot use cutting, because if we cut the 1,000 parts in the plant, then the whole plant will destroy. Okay, nor we can use grafting, nor we can use the other method, like bearing of seeds, or means burying leaves. Okay, but this is an appropriate method, that in which we can use plants tissue and grow it in a particular medium, and then this is the fastest method of growing new plants. Okay, so we can write here that it is an easiest method of growing new plants, okay, of same genotypes, outer appearance, and same characteristics. The main important thing is that, because in a successful method of reproduction, except the grafting, we are using the same characteristic, because in a successful method of reproduction, on single plant characteristics are there, no two plants are involved. So since no two plants are involved, so we can say here that only a single parent is there, so characteristics of the parent plant will be maintained. Means characteristics, that whatever the characteristics of the previous plants of the parent plant, that will be in the offspring plants also. Okay, so same characteristics is maintained. The next one is quick method of multiplication. Okay, quick method of multiplication help in removing common infections. Okay, it help in removing common infection. For example, if we are our plant is infected, and and it is not, means we can say that it is all infected, but some areas not infected, so we can take the part of the plant which is not infected, and we can grow a new plant from that one. So from the infected plant, we can grow a new plant which is not infected. So help in removing the common infection, micropropagation and micrografting. And it is economical, because it is cheaper method. We can grow thousands of plants from a single plant, so it is economical. And the more important, more important and the most important advantage of this one, of micropropagation, is that seedless plants, the plant that do not bear seeds, okay, that don't bear seed, we can grow those plants also by this micropropagation. Means this is a predominantly method. We can say that it is predominantly method, that seedless plants. How seedless? Because seed is being used to grow new plants, but if some plant do not bear seed, like banana, okay, and seedless grapes, if we're talking about. So how can we grow these plants? So this is a simple answer, that seedless plants such as banana, sugar canes, okay, seedless grapes, etc., can be grown predominantly by this method. Okay, so please note it down. Note it down. Note it down. The advantages of micro propagation. Okay, note it down. Done?
Done, sir.
Is there anyone who's still writing? Should I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The next is, now we're talking about sexual method of reproduction in plants. Okay. So let's start studying sexual method of reproduction in plants. In sexual method of reproduction, okay, flowers are of two types. Okay. Now you know that's in sexual method of reproductions, we are just going to have two parent plant. Okay. And one is male, another one is female. Okay. So we, if we're talking about sexual method of reproduction in plants, okay. So if we talk about the plant sexual method, means two parent involved, two parents are there, and gametes, male and female gametes, female gamete will be required. Okay. Gametes will be required. Okay. So if I'm talking about sexual method of reproduction, there must be two parents involved and there must be reproductive organs involved. Okay. So what is the reproductive organs of a flower? Sorry, of a plant. So that is a flower. Okay. Flower is the reproductive organ of a plant, in which not every part. For example, if I'm having this flower, so this is a flower which is going to have four parts. Okay. Generally four parts. One is the colorful part, that is called petals, that we called it petals. So this colorful part is called, petals. Okay. And this square shape that is kept in this one, this is called carpel or pistil. And this is called, this bud like structure is called thalamus, and this structure is called, it is called sepals. Okay. And these yellow colored are that is this structure, this is called stamen. But let me explain you here that if this is a flower, okay, just going to explain you. These are the colorful part of the flower, in which this is the female reproductive organ. In this is the female reproductive organ. Okay. And I'm just doing it very fast. Okay. So, and it is very difficult to draw with the writing pad. Okay. And these are called the anthers or stamens. Okay. So if I talk about this one, this is the colorful part that is called petals. And these petals of these colorful parts of the flower help in attracting the insect and help in transformation of pollen grains. Okay. From anther to stigma, means it help in the pollination. What is pollination? We're going to discuss it later, but it help in reproduction. But actually we can say that petals are not the reproductive organs of the flower. The reproductive organs of the flowers are this one, and this one. Means the reproductive organs of the flowers are this one, that we called it anther, and togetherly we called it stamen. This we called it stamen, and this part is called filament, and this part is called anther. And inside the anther, there is pollen grain present. That is, inside the anther, pollen grains are present. Okay, you understood? This is the male reproductive organ. Male reproductive organ of flower. Okay, you understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now moving to the next part is this portion. This is a tube-like structure that is okay. This is the female reproductive organ. Okay, this is called, the whole together is, it is called carpel or pistil. Pistil, but it has three parts. The top part is called stigma. This is called stigma. This tube-like structure is called style. This tube-like structure is called style. And this bulb-like structure is called ovary. Ovary. And inside this ovary is a structure. Inside this ovary is a structure okay, we called it ovule. Okay, so this is ovule. And what is ovule? What is ovary? We're going to discuss it. Okay, so this bulb-like structure is called ovary, and inside this is ovule. Ovule. So please draw this one. We'll note the thing, sexual reproduction in flower, and make this one, please. When you're done, please let me know. Okay. Done.
Done, sir.
Is there anyone who's still writing?
No, sir.
Should I move? Sama, done?
Yes, sir.
Should I move forward, everybody? Okay. So talking about this one, these are the petals. These are the petals and these are the colorful part, and these only help in what? Help in attracting the insect, help in attracting the insect, which help in pollination, okay? Pollination, which help in pollination. What is pollination? Pollination is the transformation of pollen grains from anther to stigma. We will discuss it. What is pollination? Pollination is these are the pollen grain that is present inside the anther. And if get burst, then it will be transferred over the stigma. Okay, the pollen grain present, it is transferred over the stigma. So this transformation of pollen grain is not easy. For example, if it is a male flower, there are two flowers. One is male flower, another one is female flower. Okay, so the first, if the insect take the uh, uh, anther from this one or pollen grain from this one, and then it will be transferred to the stigma of the, then the insect sit on this one and will transfer. Next it is going to sit on this flower, on this female flower. Then the pollen grain, it will stick with the legs of the insect, and then when it goes and fly over this one stigma, then it will leave the pollen grain there. Okay, so this transformation of pollen grain from anther to stigma is called pollination. We will discuss it later. Okay, so what is the function of petals? Petals are the colorful part that help in the attracting the insect and transformation of pollen grain, that is called pollination. Okay, and what is the function of this sepals? Sepals are green colored, and this protect the flower in the initial stages when flower is in the bud. So it does not opens, and when it protect it from the bacterial infection in the initial stages, and help because it in green color, so it contains chlorophyll, so it helps in the photosynthesis also. Okay, but only these are not the reproductive organ. Only the reproductive organ are the stamen and the stigma. You understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now moving to the next part here is petals are also called corolla. Sepals is called calyx to help in reproduction. These two help in the reproduction, initial production and photosynthesis. Stamen that we call it androecium. Okay, and carpel that we called it gynoecium. They are the reproductive organs. This is the male and this is the female reproductive organs. Anther plus filament is called stamen. Okay, so I'm not going to please note it down, please, sometime, because they are different terms, their names is being asked in the examination with the object in the MCQ. So please note it down. Petals, corolla, sepals is also called calyx, stamen is called androecium, and carpel is called gynoecium. Right there, these are the biological name: corolla, calyx, androecium. And petals, sepals, stamens, carpel, these are the English name.
Noted, sir.
Is there anyone? Should I move forward?
No, sir.
Noted. Okay, let's move further. So talking about this one, we have discussed this. Okay. Now you know that this is a pollen grain. This is the anther. This portion is called anther, and this is called filament, and togetherly it is called what is it? What is called stamen. Okay, togetherly it is called stamen. Stamen is a male reproductive organ. So what's talking about the pollen grain? Pollen grains are the cells, or we can say that not the cells. These are the gametes. Okay, that is present inside this anther. This is anther. Okay, this is anther. So inside this anther, this is bilobe. If we open it, open it like this, okay, then when we open it, we will find that it is like this. Here in this portion, this is the transverse section of microsporangium. Anther is called sporangium. Okay, or we can say transverse section of anther in simple word. Don't be technical. Okay. So these are the in the anther, these are the pollen grains. Okay, pollen grains. You understood? Now talking about this one, the stamen contain anthers. You know, the stamen. This is a stamen, the whole stamen, and it contains anther, which is bilobe. Why I'm saying bilobe? Because it has two lobes. Like we have a date seed, okay, and the date seed, there is a line between it. Okay, so like this, similar to this one, it is also having a line in between, and that's why it is called bilobe. Okay, you understood? Understood, everybody? The stamen contain anther that produce haploid cells called pollen grain. So you know that if we are talking about the sexual method of reproduction, so there must be two cells, male and female cells, and the male cells, if I'm talking about male cells, so it must be haploid. If I'm talking about the female cell, it must also be haploid, because haploid when fused together, they form a diploid cell that is called zygote. So if I'm talking about this one, that is anther contain and produce haploid cells, we called it pollen grain. When the anther get burst, the pollen grain that is present inside it, it is scattered or transferred to the stigma of female flower. Okay. Okay. So please note it down. Note it down. Done?
Done, sir.
Is there anyone? Okay. Now moving to the next part here is, now what is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. So you know that inside the anther, pollen grains are produced. What is anther? Let me explain you one more time. That this is a filaments, and inside this, over this filament, there is a bulb-like structure called anther, and inside this anther, the minute cells are present. We called it pollen grains. And these pollen grains first mature inside this anther, and then when it get burst, then it need to be transferred, because these are the male gametes. Okay, so they need to be transferred from anther to stigma of the pollen, anther to stigma of the female flower. Okay, so female flower, what is a stigma? Stigma is this that I have explained you, that stigma is the bed for the pollen grain that we have discussed here, that this is a stigma. This is a stigma. Okay, the top part of the female reproductive organ of the flower. So this pollen grains need to transfer here. So this is pollen grain. Pollen grain is just like this. Okay, so when they come, they come over the stigma. Okay, got it? Got it? So this transformation of pollen grain, from anther to stigma, we called it pollination. We called it pollination. So we called it transformation of pollen grain from anther to stigma of carpel. Carpel means, carpel is the female reproductive organ that is also called pistil. Okay, to carpel or pistil. Now the pollination is of two types. One is the self-pollination and another one is cross-pollination. Self-pollination occurs in the flower which is bisexual. Bisexual means, bisexual flower means if a flower, if male and female reproductive organs are present on the same flower. For example, here we were discussing, let me show you that this is a bisexual flower. Here is a female reproductive organ. Okay, and this is the male reproductive organ, and the anther plus filament. Okay, that is stamen. So stamen, this is stamen, and this is female. This is bisexual flower. So in bisexual flower, both male and female reproductive organs are present on the same flower. Okay, so the pollen grain of this anther is scattered and reaches to the stigma of the same flower. This type of pollination is called self-pollination. What we called it? Self-pollination. You understood?
Yes, sir.
But there are some flower that is not going to have both male and female reproductive organ the same one. They are either male or female. Means the flower can be either male or female. Okay, so if I'm talking that if the flowers are different, then the pollen grains must transfer from one to another one. Okay, so we called it cross pollination. Cross means the plant need to be changed. Okay, plant need to be changed, and their flower should be different. Okay, got it. So if we are transferring the pollen from anther to stigma of the same flower of the same plant, we called it self-pollination, and it occurs in the bisexual flowers. And if the flowers are different and we are just transferring the anther from, and we are just transferring the pollen grain from anther to stigma, of different flower of different plants, we called it cross-pollination. So this is, and this self-pollination is being divided, okay, into two parts. Self-pollination is divided into two parts. One is autogamy, in which there is a bisexual flower. Okay, this is autogamy. Autogamy means the flower is bisexual and the anther, like you can see here, this is bisexual flower, and the anther from this pollen grain from this anther is transferring to the stigma of this one. So it occurs, autogamy occurs in which type of plants? In bisexual flowers. Okay, you understood? This is a type of self-pollination. This is self-pollination. And that is another one is gytenogamy. What happened in the gytenogamy? In gytenogamy, if let's suppose this is a single plant, but it is not going to have bisexual flower. One plant is going to have flowers, but there can be one flower male, another one with maybe female. So, but the plant is not changing. Plant is same, but the flowers are different. So the plant is same. Like here you can see this is the male flower and this is the female flower. And if the pollen grain from this male flower is transferred to the stigma of this female flower, so here the plant is not changing, but the flower is changing. Plant is same, but the flower is different. So this type of pollination is also called self-pollination. But in this type of pollination is called gytenogamy. You understood? And in cross-pollination, there must be transformation of pollen grain to the different flower of different plant. Means plant should also be changed. Okay, the plant should not be same. So there can be conditions. How can we explain it one more time? Let me explain you that if this is a plant, and okay, it is going to have, this is going to have male flower and this is going to have female flower. So if the plant is not different, but this is male, this is not bisexual flower. The pollen grains are being transferred from male to female, but the plant is not changing. So this is called gytenogamy, and this is also called self-pollination. But if we have to transfer the pollen grain, this is the plant A and this is the plant B. Okay, and this is the male flower and this is the female flower. And if the pollen grain from this one is being transferred with the help of different agents like insect, wind, water, okay, and by animal fur, by anything, any means, if the pollen grains is being transferred from from this one, from A to B, if the plant is also changing and the flower is also changing, then we say it cross pollination. Okay, you understood? Got it? And this is self pollination. If the plant is not changing, self pollination. And self pollination is generally common in bisexual flowers, that you know that in which the both male and female reproductive organs are present on the same flower. So if the both male and female reproductive organs are present on the same flower, then what happens? Tell me. If the both this is male and this is female, this is bisexual flower. So here if it is transferring, then it is called self pollination. Self pollination. You understood? Understood? Everybody understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please note it down here. Note these definitions and make this one. Pollination. What is pollination? And make these diagrams.
Noted, sir.
Noted? Okay. Everyone noted? Along with noted, have you made these diagrams? Abir, made these diagrams?
Yes, sir.
Noted what is gynecotomy, what is autogamy?
Yes, sir. Noted.
So is there anyone still writing? Should I move forward? Why the students are not answering? Shweb, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Have you noted?
Yes, sir.
Tejasvi, Shweta?
Yes, sir.
So let's move further. So note it down the
Previous slide.
previous slide.
Actually left because of the-
This one. Hmm?
That's
Done. Okay. Sometimes if a flowers is going to have means if a flower is bisexual and sometimes and we need to remove and we need to do the cross pollination. Okay. The flower is bisexual and we need to remove the we need to do the cross pollination in that flower. So what happens if the flower is bisexual? So we cut this stamens, or we can say that we remove this one, we cut this one, and so that it cannot disperse the pollen grain to this one, and we artificially pollinate this one by transferring the pollen grains from other flowers. Okay, so in bisexual flowers, sometimes if we need to do the cross pollination, so if it is bisexual, so it can automatically can pollinate itself, but in order to prevent it, we just capped it. Okay, and we just remove this, we just cut it, and when we cut it, and we just transfer the pollen grains of other flowers, and in order to pollinate it with the others. Okay, understood? So this is done to in order to, if a bisexual flower's anther is cut, so it means that we are just going to do cross pollination over here. Okay, understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Write down the definitions of cross pollination, please. What is cross pollinations? Cross pollination, transfer of anther to the stigma of different flower of different plants, but of same species. Done?
Done, sir.
Is there anyone? Should I move forward? Okay. So there are different agents by which cross pollination can be done. Okay. If it is done with, there can be different types of cross pollinations depending on the agent it is being used here. Okay. So if it is done by air, so it is called anemophily, water hydrophily, insect by entomophily. Okay. Don't write it. It is not so important. So let's start that what happens if the pollen grain is being transferred. So if I'm talking about that, what would happens if the pollen grain is being transferred from anther to the stigma. Okay, here this is a stigma, and if this transformation is done, okay, so if it is transferred from here to here, then what is going to happen? So let me explain you that first of all, stigmas have to check whether the pollen grain is of same species or not. Let you understand here very clearly that first of all, stigmas have to check whether the pollen grain is of same species. Okay, stigma is the bed for the developing pollen grain. So we are just talking what is after pollination is going to happen. Okay. So if the pollen grains is of same species, okay, and it's come overhead, okay. So it's up to check whether the pollen grain is of same species and it is not defective. Okay. So if the pollen grain comes, then it will allow it, it will check it whether it is of same species. Means same species means if the pollen grain of mango on a mango flower is of mango, a male flower, okay, it is not of the papaya, of guava or some other. Okay, it should be of same species. Okay, otherwise it will reject it. Okay, so if I'm talking about that, first of all, if this stigma, over this stigma, the pollen grain comes, and if it is of same species and it is not defective, then stigma is order it to germinate further here. Okay, so when it is start germinating, it give rise to a pollen tube. It give rise to a pollen tube, and this pollen tube goes into the ovary due to chemotropism that we have studied in which portion? Tell me.
Control and coordination, hormones, movement
Yeah.
in plants.
Yes, tropic movement. Okay, tropic movements we have discussed, chemotropism. So this is pollen tube that enters into the ovary and then to ovule. So what happens when the stigma check it whether the pollen grain is of same species? Yes, it is okay. It is of same species. It is whether it is defective. No, it is not defective. It is okay. So then the pollen grain start germinating over the stigma. And when it starts germinating over the stigma, then what is going to happen? This pollen grain start or produce a pollen tube which grows and goes downward and into the ovary and ovary to ovule. Okay. Now what happens to it? Let me explain you. Okay. Now this pollen grain reaches, this pollen tube reaches to the ovary, and inside the ovary is the ovule. Let me show you what is ovule. Ovule is just like this. These are the 3 cells here, 1 polar nuclei and 3 cells, 1 egg cells. Okay. So this is a ovule. It is just like this. Okay. So it is inside the ovary. Okay. This is ovule that we have drawn here. So where it is, let me show you. This is the inside the ovary is the ovule. Okay. Got it? Inside the ovary is the ovule. So here it is. Got it? Understood, everybody? So
Yes,
what
sir.
happened? Let me explain you that what is going to happen here. Now this is a pollen tube, and this pollen tube is germinating and coming. This is the pollen tube, and this is the whole ovary. Okay. Okay. Over it is the style, and the style over it is stigma. So this is the pollen tube that is coming into the ovary. Okay. Let me explain you. Now what is going to happen? This pollen tubes enters into this portion. Okay. And each pollen grain give rise to 2 male gametes. It is very important. When this pollen tube is going into the ovule, then it consists of 2 male gametes. This is called 2 male gametes. 2 male gametes. Okay. And one of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell. One of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell. This egg cell. This is the egg cell. Okay. So when one male gamete fuses with the egg cell in the ovule. Okay. Then it is egg cell. Then it forms zygote. Okay. And when the another male gamete fuses with this 2 polar nuclei, this is called 2 polar nuclei. The center cell is called 2 polar nuclei. Okay. The center cell is called 2 polar nuclei. Why it is called polar nuclei? Because it is going to have 2 nucleus. So one of the male gamete is going to fuse with this 2 polar nuclei. Okay, one of the male gamete is going to fuse with this 2 polar nuclei. So when one male gamete fuses with the egg cell, it gives you zygote. It gives you what it gives you? It will give you zygote. Okay. It will give you zygote. And when another male gamete fuses, one male gamete fuses with the 2 polar nuclei. This is important. Then it will gives you endosperm. And what is endosperm? Food for the developing embryo. Food for embryo. This is the food for embryo, endosperm. So you can check here that one pollen grain give rise to 2 male gametes. One male gamete fuses with the egg cell and it forms zygote, and zygote further result in the formation of embryo. Okay. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
And
Yes, sir.
another male gamete fuses with the egg cell. Actually, this ovule have 7 cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 3 at the here, 3 here, and 1 in the between. But it is 7 cell and it is going to have 8 nuclei. It is 7 cell and 8 nuclei because the polar nuclei have 2 nucleus. This is going to have 2 nucleus. Okay. So this is called 2 polar nuclei. So when one male gamete fuses to the two polar nuclei, it gives you endosperm. And this fusion of one male gamete with this 2 polar nuclei to form endosperm, this step is called triple fusion. Triple fusion. Okay. And this step in which one male gamete is fusing with the egg cell, and this is called syngamy. This is called syngamy. Okay, so these both steps, syngamy and triple fusion, is called double fertilization. So this syngamy, what is syngamy? What is syngamy? Tell me, Abhi. What is syngamy? When one male gamete fuses with the egg cell
To
to
form a
form
zygote.
zygote. This is called syngamy. And when another male gamete fuses with the 2 polar nuclei to form endosperm, this is called triple fusion. Triple fusion. And these together, syngamy and triple fusion, is called a double fertilization. Okay, this is called double fertilization. Only occurs in plants. Fertilization. Okay, so please draw it. Please draw it.
Sir, can you show the previous slide?
Previous one. Which previous one?
Sir,
This
the
one?
one that was. Yeah, this 1 minute.
First, no need to write this one. This is not so important. Only write this one. After pollination, noted. After pollination, stigma sub to check whether the pollen grain is of same species or not, and it is defective or not. Okay. So note it.
Okay, thank you, sir. I took the screenshot. I'll note it later.
You better try to write it because later is later. You're not going to write it. Okay. Most 80% chance that you are not going to write it. Everybody, please note it down. After pollination, stigmas have to check whether the pollen grain is of same species.
Done, sir.
Done? Okay. Now draw this one. Done?
Done, sir.
So
Done.
after fertilization, okay, let's just menu after the fertilization and this one, okay, the pollen, this ovary changes into fruit and ovule that is present, ovule changes into seed, because inside the fruit is, inside the ovary is ovule, so inside the fruit is seed. Okay, it is being asked. So after, this is after fertilization. Okay, and when we bury the seed into the, note this one also, when we bury the seed into the soil, this is, then it breaks, okay, like this, and it give rise to a structure that is called plumule, and this is called radical, and this is called future root. R for radical, R for root. Plumule is called future shoot. Okay, so you will get the homework for this one. You have to do this one. Okay, understood? That ovary changes into fruit. We will write it in the next class, but explanation has been done to